Time is it? All right.
Do I have enough stuff in this room?
All right, good afternoon, boys and girls.
Good afternoon.
We are really excited to be here today to share some interesting information about salmon with you all. So my name is Maria. Right here we have Pat and then Naomi over here. We're going to be the ones doing your salmon dissection today. I have some expectations for everybody. I want you to be excited about what we showed you. And I know that there will be some times when you say, oh my goodness, look at that, or ew, that looks gross. And that's okay. But what I'm going to do is give you guys 5 seconds to talk. So if you see something and you talk, I'm going to put my hand in the air and say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And when I get down to 0, that means your mouths are off and your eyes are on me. We're going to move forward. Deal?
Yes.
All right. So these salmon here, they're Chinook salmon. We have 2 of them, and hopefully we have one male and one female. We will see. And what these guys are starting to do first is kind of wipe them off. Now these salmon, these Chinook salmon, they are fall spawners. So they're in the spawning stage when they died. They've been frozen since October. Yeah, for a long time. Now, spawning salmon, what do you guys know about spawners? What do you know?
That they just came back from the ocean to where they were born
To where they were born. They were trying to find where they were born, right? From the ocean
to lay their eggs.
to lay their eggs. You got it. Anybody else have anything to add to that? Pretty much summed it up. So what they're doing is kind of drying off these guys, partly because they've been frozen for a long time, so they're a little bit wet. But there's another reason too. These salmon, their bodies are covered with something that's kind of slimy. Well, they do have scales, but on top of their scales, their body makes it all the time. It's called mucus. Ever say mucus?
Yes.
Mucus. You guys have mucus in your bodies. Like our boogers in our nose. Oh. Like if you get sick and you cough something up. That mucus protects your bodies. And we'll talk about how it protects salmon too. The mucus on salmon, it has 3 really important jobs. The first job of the mucus on salmon is it helps the salmon to swim. Have you guys ever been swimming?
Yes.
It's kind of hard work, right? Moving in the water, your muscles get really tired after a while.
Yeah.
The mucus helps the salmon glide through the water really easily. It helps them glide through so it doesn't take as much energy for them to swim. It's job number 1. The second job of the mucus, like I said before, to protect the salmon. How many of you have ever been fishing? Tried to hold on to that fish with your bare hands?
I have.
It's like slippery and gets out and everywhere.
Yeah.
We are predators, you and me. Salmon predators. So if we're trying to catch a salmon and it's slippery, it might get away. That mucus helps them survive. What else eats salmon? What else? Bears. Yeah. What else? Eagles.
No wells.
Killer whales. People. What else? Seals. Bald-headed eels. What was that? Yes, falcons. Now, boys and girls, all these things that eat salmon, it makes it a lot harder for them to catch salmon, the mucus, right? Because it can slip through their hands, their talons, their claws, whatever they have, right? So it's going to help them survive. So the mucus helps them swim, helps them survive. And the mucus also keeps them healthy. That's the third job, keeps them healthy. And that's where we think of mucus in our bodies. If we're breathing something in, and there's something bad in the air, maybe some germs or bacteria, that mucus protects us from getting that stuff inside of our bodies. We breathe in, that mucus protects us, keeps it out. We might sneeze it out and blow it out, right? Now the mucus on the salmon's body, if germs or bacteria are in the water and they get up to that salmon, they're going to slide right off. That mucus helps protect them. They also have something really else, something cool That's also on the outside of their body. The scales maybe. They have scales. When I think of scales, I think of a knight in shining armor. You ever think of a knight with all their metal armor on and a sword? Now, the scales are like the armor for those salmon. Okay? They overlap, and I'll come around and show you guys some of them. They're really small. They overlap kind of like on a roof, shingles on a roof. And they act like armor for that salmon because these spawning salmon, they're really big. They're trying to get back to where they were born. And those streams where they were born can be really small, have lots of rocks and sticks. They have to go up fish ladders sometimes. They have to jump up little waterfalls, things like that. And that armor, those scales protect their bodies. Protect them from getting hurt when they hit all those different things on their way back home. Even out in the wild, if something tries to get them, that armor can protect them as they try and swim away.
There you go.
Perfect. Thank you.
I have a picture right here.
So you can see how small these little scales are. There's just a couple of them on there. So I'll come around and kind of show you. And remember, you'll all get a chance to see everything.
Okay. Let's get the business.
It's the armor for that salmon. And they overlap one another to help protect us.
Me too.
5, 4, 3,
2 males.
2,
Go on.
1. All right.
We have 2.
2 males.
2 males? Perfect. We have 2 males today. So, we don't have any females. We'll talk about it. Let's talk about the external anatomy of a salmon. What does that mean when I say external
Not
anatomy?
Amsterdam.
External. What do you think? Yes. I'm going to talk about the outside of the fish. That's what it means. The outside. And then we will talk about the inside. So, if we can hold one up. I need water.
Fins?
Yes. The external anatomy. For starters, let's look at this big fin on the back. Do you guys know what that's called? Everybody? The dorsal fin. It's kind of like a triangle shape. It has these little bones in it called fin rays. What's the job of the dorsal fin? How does it help the salmon? How does it help the salmon? What do you think? Yeah, and it keeps them balanced when they do that, you know? Exactly. What about this fin back here? The biggest fin on the salmon. What's it called? Yeah, when they swim, it actually helps them to swim and move. So it goes back and right. And this fin is called the caudal fin. Can you say caudal? Caudal. Caudal fin, the tail fin. So it moves back and forth, and that's what actually makes them swim. If you ever see fish swim and they kind of go in a little wiggly direction, it's because when they swim, it's making them wiggle back and forth as they move forward. This is the biggest fin. It has some bones in it too. Now this salmon up here has another fin. This fin is called the adipose fin. Can you say adipose?
Adipose.
Huh?
I see it over there.
You see? The adipose fin. Now this fin, it doesn't have any bones in it. It actually feels like your earlobe if you touch the bottom of your ear. There's no bones in it. And this fin tells us that this is a wild salmon. What does that mean? That means that this wild salmon was born in the wild. It wasn't born in the hatchery like the eggs that you guys have. The salmon that you're growing in your salmon tank, they won't have an adipose fin because they were born in the hatchery. But this salmon's a wild salmon. If you ever go fishing for salmon and you catch one that has an adipose fin, I think of that as the adios fin. Because you can't keep it. You cannot catch wild salmon legally. You have to throw them back in the water because we want them to make it back home to lay their eggs. So the adipose fin, I think of it as the adios fin. If they don't have an adipose fin, then you can catch them and take them home and grill them. Make some salmon steak fillets out of them. It's true. So let's look at the fins on the bottom of this fish. Back here, this is also kind of a triangle-shaped fin. This is the anal fin. Now the salmon has a vent, one opening in its body. And out that vent, that's where all the urine and the feces and the sperm and the eggs come out. This anal fin helps kind of sweep all that away, so it keeps the salmon clean. Up from there, we have 2 pairs of fins. These ones and these ones. The ones in the back, they're the pelvic fins. Ever say pelvic? The ones in the front are pectoral. Say pectoral.
Pectoral.
2 P names. It's kind of hard to remember, right? Pectoral and pelvic, but I'm going to tell you how I remember them. So you guys have a pelvis. That's our hip bones. Kind of far away from your head. The pelvic fins are far away from the salmon's head. You guys also have pectoral muscles. Those are our chest muscles. And they're close to our head. So pectoral, like our chest muscles, those fins are close to the salmon's head. The pelvic fins, like our pelvis, our hip bones, are farther away. Now those 2 pairs of fins, they're really important. They do a really cool thing. If that salmon senses danger and it needs to stop really quickly, it opens up those fins and it opens up its mouth like a parachute and it stops really fast. I bet we can see how big a mouth can open.
Maybe yours?
They spread out their pectoral and pelvic fins. They open their mouths, whoop, super wide like a parachute, and their cheeks kind of blow up, and that helps them stop really quickly. If they want to move really fast, instead of moving those fins out, the pectoral and the pelvic fins, they put them in really close to their body, and their caudal fin just helps them move really quickly away.
It's just different.
We're like, what?
Where the room goes,
Either way, right? All right.
I just took it off so I can see what I'm doing here better.
Like, is it rotting? I'm worried.
Neat.
Okay, so on the salmon's face. Now they don't breathe in air like we do. We smell through our nose, right? They have something between their eyes and the tip of their snout. Do you know what they're called?
Gills.
Well, they do have gills that help them breathe, but I'm talking about something that helps them smell.
Still on the map.
Do you remember what helps them smell? They have something like nostrils, and we call them nares. Can you say nares?
Nares.
Nares. Now you can see on this one right here, between the eyeball and the tip of the nose, there's a little hole right here. And I'll hold it up again so you guys can all see it in a minute. But what water does, when the salmon are in the water, that water is moving in and out of those 2 nares on either side of their face all the time. Think of a dog. A dog has a really good sense of smell, right? Salmon have a way better sense of smell than dogs. Way better, because from the ocean, they can smell which river they need to go down to get all the way to their little stream or creek where they were born. From hundreds and hundreds of miles away. Isn't that crazy? They smell the water. And even if they're coming up the river, like the Columbia River, and it breaks off into 2, they can smell both sides and decide which one is going to get them home. Great sense of smell. Yes?
How can they die when they live in this?
How do they die? They don't eat, right, when they leave the ocean. They haven't eaten since they were in the ocean. So they use all of the energy that they have just to make it home. And they use any last energy that they have to lay their eggs, and they die. They provide nutrients for those new baby salmon. Excellent. So let's start talking about, we talked a lot of the outside of the fish. You ready to talk about the insides of the fish?
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Yep.
Let's start with a liver. A liver is a big organ. It looks kind of like this in a salmon. You guys have a liver too?
Yeah.
Yep.
Big one.
Our livers, one of their main jobs is to clean our blood. So the liver of this salmon cleans the salmon's blood. It's really important. They also have another organ that we have. It's called a spleen. This one looks a little bit more like jelly. It's darker. The spleen is super important. You have a spleen too. When we get sick, if stuff does get past our mucus, if we have germs and bacteria in our body, then our body sends a message to the spleen and it says, make white blood cells. White blood cells are fighter cells. So those white blood cells get sent out and they fight and attack all that bad stuff in our bodies to make us healthy again. It's true. And in salmon, their spleen does the same exact thing. So if something gets past that mucus and those scales, something gets inside of them, their spleen makes white blood cells and it fights off all the bad stuff.
Could you take the liver and put it under the duck?
Absolutely.
Just set it under. They are perfect.
Liver and spleen. And this is from both of our fish there.
So do you understand that, children? They don't have 2 livers and 2 spleens. We're guys that need 2 fish. Understand?
All right. It looks like we're working on a swim bladder.
Woo!
Who knows what the swim bladder does? Why is it important for a salmon? What is a swim bladder and why is it important?
What's the new one out there? We talked about it.
What do you
On
think?
the net.
You know, from like if you go up or down and they hold the water inside.
Yeah. So Miguel's saying that it helps them go up and down in the water, right? What else?
And it helps them keep their balance.
It helps them keep their balance too. It's kind of like a big balloon inside of them. It's full of a gas. It's full of air, basically. And it's deep inside the salmon's body. And it helps them float. Now, when you and I think of floating, we're thinking, oh, we want to stay above the water. We don't want to be underneath it, right? But for salmon, floating just means they don't want to sink to the bottom. They don't want to sink to the bottom of the ocean or the river or the stream that they're in. They want to be able to move up and down, just like you're telling me, in the water. Swim bladder. Stick it on this plate with the other ones. And I'll put it under the duck.
So that one, the last class, I had to blow it up. Well, he actually didn't. With the little one, you'll see I had to blow it up with a straw. But this, the big one that just came out, that's the same air that the fish put in it before it died.
So if you cook it, it will pop.
Huh?
So
No,
it won't
sure
pop.
Fishy about that, don't you guys think? Yeah, isn't that cool?
Now, boys and girls, it does kind of look like a balloon. It's full of air. But if you pop it, it's not going to make a sound like a balloon. So don't try it. That's one of the things that you will not be able to touch today. You can look at it, but we don't want to pop them because we want everybody to see how cool it looks when it's all blown up. All right? So both of these salmon are males. So what do you know about the difference between male and females? The difference between male and female salmon. What do you know?
The male has like a big nose.
Yeah, kind of like a hooked nose. We call that a kype. Can you say kype?
Kype.
Kype. So let's take a look at a kype so you can see kind of what it looks like.
Yeah.
So you can see how it kind of comes to a hook at the end there. It goes down a little bit. You face it this direction. You see the kite?
Yeah.
So on males, the distance between the eye and the tip of the nose, the tip of the kite, is a lot longer. If we had a female, it would be a lot shorter. What would the female have inside of her as a spawner? What would the female have inside of her as a spawner? What'd she have in? What do you think? Eggs, you got it. The female salmon usually carry about 4,000 eggs inside in 2 egg sacs. So they kind of like bags. They keep all the eggs together. But if we were to have eggs here, which unfortunately we don't, but they've never been alive, okay? So the eggs that you saw in your salmon tank, you could see the little eyeballs and you saw them moving around when they were little babies, right? The eggs that come out of a salmon like this that we dissect, they've never been alive. They've never been fertilized. So you wouldn't see any little eyeballs or anything like that. Well, let's talk about that. If a salmon does lay her eggs, 4,000 of them, how many do you think survive to spawn again? About how many do you think are going to make it? What do you think? Much less than that.
Can we ask that question carefully? Do you want to say how many eggs make it or how many fish make it?
How many fish survive to spawn again?
Look out there at that board. Look at our board in
Back.
there.
Usually about 2, maybe 3 at the most. 2 to 3. Out of 4,000. Out of 4,000. Only 2 or 3 survive. My goodness, to spawn again. All right. Take a look at a salmon heart. Come around and show you guys. The heart is a really strong muscle that pumps blood through our bodies.
Keep your feet back so she
And your
doesn't
human
see
body. When you do get a chance to feel it, it's really tough because it's such a strong muscle. The top of this heart here is called the aorta. It's where the clean blood goes out. That's what kind of strong. Now everybody make a fist with your hand. Put it over your chest. That's about how big your heart is. Yeah, about that big. Usually our hearts are about the size of a fist. So if a salmon, even though it doesn't, but if a salmon had a fist,
Unfist your hands.
if a salmon had a fist, it'd probably be about that big. But it doesn't have any hands, right? It would be funny. I also have over here a salmon kidney. I'll lift it up once and then I'll put this under the document camera also. This is a salmon kidney. You guys have 2 kidneys in most of your bodies. And our kidneys, they're kind of bean-shaped, they're small, and they're at the bottom of our back. Now the salmon's kidney runs all along the back of the salmon.
Here, I'll show you.
Naomi's gonna show us
I just took it out, but you'll see
where it
sits.
goes, yeah.
Well,
If you can see inside of here, that's where she took the kidney from, the back of the salmon.
She'll turn it so you can see everything. Don't worry. She'll turn it around so you can see.
See?
Everybody see, raise your hand if you can't see it. She'll turn it a little more so you can see.
The back from in here. All right. You can see this one still has it in there.
This one, just stand up so you can see it in it. Stand up, you can see. See, in Pat's, he has the, see where it's brownish right there?
That's where the kidney is. He hasn't taken it out yet.
Y'all can see that?
show this guy over here.
Did you, in blue team, green team, see it? See it in there? You can see it.
That's the kidney.
All right, now sit back down. Fine job of observing.
All right. So the male, we talked about the eggs in the female. The male has these testes. So this is what would fertilize the eggs in a female to make them alive. Okay? All right. I want to talk about eating and salmon, how they eat. What do salmon eat? What do they eat? Plankton. What else? What else do they eat? What do they eat? The alevin? They eat like little baby salmon? Okay. What else do they eat?
Insects.
Insects, absolutely.
Sometimes other fish.
Other fish, yep.
Krill.
Krill,
Herring.
herring. Yeah. Salmon, they eat meat, is what we're getting at, right? Salmon are meat eaters. What do we call meat eaters?
Carnivores.
Everybody?
Carnivores.
Carnivores, you got it. Now, we have arms and hands. So if we want to eat something, some meat, we can pick it up, put it in our mouth, chew it, and our hands hold it in there. Our teeth move up and down. So we can use our hands to keep the food in there. Now salmon, they don't have hands, right? So when they're trying to eat something, they have to hope it stays in there. But their teeth actually help that food stay in there. So let's take a look at some of these teeth. The salmon teeth, they're big and sharp, and they're pointy, and they face in. Can you see how they're going in?
I'll turn it for you. And that's green team.
They go in. They're big and sharp.
See, Ollie?
A little bit.
Lean over.
So if I was a little baby fish, and I was trying to,
Here you go.
thank you, escape a salmon, but a salmon ate me, it's going to get stuck on those pointy teeth. It's not going to be able to get out. Now, salmon also have teeth on their tongues. And you can't see these from far away, but when you come up to look at the salmon themselves, I want you to take a look at it. Could you imagine having teeth on your tongue? That'd be so crazy.
Matter I close my mouth.
3, 2, 1. Now these teeth, just like I showed you, if something gets in their mouth, it can't get back out because they get caught on those teeth, kind of like a hook. Make sense? Yeah. So once they eat it, it goes down their throat, their esophagus, and into their stomach. Let's take a look at a salmon's stomach.
Better than this one. This one's pretty bad.
Check how your anus breaks down.
This is a good one.
You're excited, that's wonderful, but she'll show it to you while you're putting the camera, hold it down.
All right. So this tube right here is the salmon's stomach, right here. I have my finger in it. Just the top part is the stomach, okay? Now, this tube is empty. There's nothing in it. Why is it empty? Because what?
It does, but
It doesn't have any food. Exactly. Why doesn't it have food? Why? It hasn't eaten. Exactly. We talked about this. They're spawning salmon, so it hasn't eaten in a really long time. So the stomach is empty. But something that's interesting about the way that they digest food is that salmon are cold-blooded. Cold-blooded. That means that their blood is the same temperature of whatever water they're in. Okay? We are warm-blooded. Our bodies like to be at about 98.6 degrees. Even though this room is probably about 70 degrees, our body's warmer than the room. If we were cold-blooded, it would be the same temperature of the room. Now your salmon tank out there, what's the temperature of the tank about? What do you think? Much, much colder. The salmon tank, the water in the tank. What do you think? More than that.
Let's not guess, let's make sure you looked at the tank.
If you didn't look at the tank,
Don't guess.
okay.
You looked at the tank and you know the
What do you think it is?
52?
Yes. Right about 52 degrees. That's pretty cold for us. We like to have our blood running at about 98.6 degrees. Our warm blood moves through our bodies really quickly. Cold blood moves through bodies a lot more slowly. So the salmon, their blood moves through their body pretty slowly. Okay? So when they eat something, it takes them a long time to digest their meal. When we eat something, from the moment we eat it, it takes about 14 hours for us to digest it completely. It takes the salmon about 2 weeks to digest one meal. Yeah, because their blood is cold. So it moves a lot more slowly. It takes them a lot longer. So their stomachs, when they do eat something and it slowly starts to break down and move, they have a helper. I think of it kind of like a second stomach. It's a bunch of stringy things here. I'll put it under here because I think it might be easier to see it. Do you see that?
just a little down, please. Towards you. Okay.
I'll put it down.
You got it there.
Right there. Do you see how it kind of looks stringy?
Yeah.
That's called a pyloric ceca. Pyloric ceca. Can you say that with me?
Pyloric ceca.
And this is really cool. It's a bunch of little stringy things. They're kind of like sacs. And they hold extra food while the salmon is digesting its meal. So it takes about 2 weeks for them to digest a meal. So it needs an extra helper. That's why I kind of think of it like a second stomach. Once it does break down and it moves out of the pyloric ceca, then it moves down the intestine and out the vent. Here's a paper towel. Thanks, sorry. I'm going to show you guys a salmon eyeball. But before I do that, Pat's trying to get the brain. So you may see him cutting the head a little bit, but just so you know that's what he's doing. They're both bigger.
Yeah, they're not in good shape.
So the salmon eye, mind real quick if I show it here. It kind of looks flat against the salmon itself. See how it kind of looks flat here? You guys see that? We'll turn it a little bit. Kind of looks flat against the head. Okay, but when we actually take the eyeball out, it's pretty big and round. See? Most of the eyeball actually sits inside of the skull of the salmon.
Alexis.
Pretty big, huh? Alright. Boys and girls, look at your neighbor's eyes. They kind of flat in there. Most of our eyeballs sit inside of our heads also. Our eyeballs are about the size of golf balls. Yeah, most of it sits inside of our head. Isn't that crazy? Yeah.
Organized cells there.
All right. How do salmon breathe, ladies and gentlemen? You're almost done. Done. Their nostrils, well, that's how they smell the dares. That's how they smell things. But how do they breathe? Can you tell me? What do they have that's special? The gills. You got it. Thanks, Johnny. They have gills. Here's a piece of the gills. There's layers of these, boys and girls, back to back. What happens as the water moves in to the fish, the water moves through these gill filaments. They're very soft, kind of like feathers. They feel a little bit like hair. They're very soft. And it takes in the oxygen from the water. The salmon need that oxygen in the water. And it only takes in the oxygen. What's out the bad stuff? They have something that protects the gills too, in the salmon's mouth. So nothing gets into the gills. They have these little pokey guys. These are called gill rakers. Gill rakers. And that keeps stuff from going into the gills themselves. And then this kind of looks like a mountain. That bone is called a gill arch. Arch. And I'll put the gills under here for you to look at. Now another thing that protects the gills.
What's that?
Is the gill cover. Now this is kind of like on the cheek of the fish, if you think of it that way. And these kind of seem fragile, but these are actually made of bone. They're actually made of bones, they're really hard. You can knock them. So when you feel these, I want you to feel how strong they actually are and can protect the gills. Yeah. Yep, when they breathe, the gills open to let it in. Exactly. You got it. We have found a brain. Woo!
Yeah, that's participating.
I butchered mine.
Now, boys and girls, salmon brains are very small. Think about that big. Wow. What? They're really small. It's true. So tiny. But they're still pretty smart fish, right? They have a lot of good instincts. The size of the brain doesn't always mean a whole lot. Our brains, our human brains, we only use about 10% of our brain. Yeah, we have big brains. All right, so on the plate, you guys, we have some brain material. It's kind of mushy because the fish is so old. When you guys come up and take a look at this, this is the other thing that you guys won't be able to touch. So you won't be able to touch the swim bladder or the brain, but I do want you to look at it and observe it and see how small it is. And we have on the back of the skull, so here's the eyeball of the fish and the hooked nose, right? The kite. In the skull itself, you can see the brain cavity, the hole where the brain was, and I'll put that up here too. Can you see that hole where the brain we took it from? Yeah. Hey, please have another paper towel.
Yeah. So small.
I think I talked about eyeballs really good. Okay, I'm going to talk about one more thing before we give you guys a chance to.
If you talk about the eyes.
Did I talk about binocular vision?
No.
talk about the eyes a little bit more. Something that's really interesting. So I showed you guys an eye. I talked about how our eyes are about the size of golf balls. But our eyes, they face forward, right? Each eye takes in a different picture, and our brain turns it into one thing. One image. Put your finger in front of your face, kind of like this, and close each eye one at a time. Does it kind of look like your fingers moving?
Yeah.
Those are the two different pictures that your brain is seeing. Now open your eyes and move your finger away from your face. Now it looks like one, right? Your two eyes are